All right, we're here today at our little hobby adventure, small boats restoration, working on a mast for this. Right now it's going to be a 2022 7-foot 7-inch Nutshell Pram. We're counting on it. Hope it doesn't become a 2023, but we're having fun working on it. That's what matters. So here's the mast. We took some spruce, just your good old lumberyard spruce, picked out the best ones we could, and cut it into a couple of strips. I made it 2 1/8 inches, even though the plans at one point didn't do it on purpose, just goofed up reading the plans. It's supposed to be flare a little bit to 2 3/8 down on the base here for about a foot or so, and I just missed it. But after getting the two pieces together, it's got enough heft for me. And it's just the same diameter as a sunfish mast, which has twice as much sail. So we're going to go with it, and if it snaps at the bottom, I'll go back and make another mast that comes out to 2 3/8 at the bottom. But what we're doing right now is epoxying the two pieces together. And the two pieces just made it a little easier to work with the lumber. And they're, like I say, about 2 1/8 wide. Then I did the math, whatever half of that is, cut them that thickness on our table saw, and now we're putting them together with TotalBoat THIXO Flex. It's a 2-part epoxy, a resin and a hardener. We get it in a little cartridge from TotalBoat, run it through a high thrust caulk gun. We coat both sides of the surface that's going to glue up, and then we put it together. And in this case, we ran a couple of screws just to keep alignment. And now we're going to go down and clamp. And what I really want to talk about today is when you clamp, you watch for epoxy start squeezing out of the joint. Oops, see there, it's coming out the bottom there. And now it's going to start coming out of this side seam. And once you see that, you're pretty much done. If you keep on clamping, then it'll keep on squeezing, and you can squeeze all that epoxy right out of the joint. Now, depending on what you got going on next, you might be tempted to come in and hit this with a rag right away, clean it up, excess, get it off, so you don't have to deal with it later when it's dry. That's probably a good idea if you have a seam that's going to show inside the boat, and especially if you want to finish your boat bright. You can get in there with the, I think it's, don't quote me, let's just say denatured alcohol, some type of alcohol like rum or whiskey, and wipe it off before it dries, and then you'll have less to sand later. But since we're going to be coming back to this mast and making this square mast into a round mast, most all this stuff's going to get either sawed off or sanded off, so we're not too worried about it. And another thing to consider when working with epoxy and raw wood like this is you might be surprised or not to come back later and find that the epoxy that had squeezed out earlier has now soaked into the wood. Left you in suspense there for a minute, didn't I? It'll soak into the wood because this wood is raw. There's nothing coating it, and what's squeezed out now maybe sucked back in about an hour or so. So if you go and make it all nice and neat, then you could find yourself surprised a little bit later, because you might be coming in and wanting to put a little more epoxy in that. So we can see right here, I don't have anything squeezing out here, so I need to get another clamp and bring that together. As soon as I get done talking to you, we'll do that. But it's looking pretty good the rest of the way up. Let's see, spin you back around the left here. The clamps that reported for work today have Rick made it, and over here is Winnie Davis. She likes boats. They restored her little boat, Barbara Sheila. Alan made it. TP Leathers, also known as Captain Push, made it. Richard made it, even though he was complaining that the shop was too dirty. My brother Kirk. Let's see what else we got. Doug complains with Richard that the shop's too dirty. But these folks have all been great help, and we really appreciate the tips we've gotten through the years. Murray's here. Somebody else. Oh, it's Whiskey Charlie or Scotch. Webb's here. And Clark and Skipper. So we're gonna find one more clamp. We do have more clamps, so if you didn't see your clamp, you can contact us. And we might have it over here. Or you might need to sponsor one, and we'll put you to work. We'll slide you back down here. This is the product I was talking about, that the adhesive we use, TotalBoat THIXO Flex. Just means what it says. It's has a little bit of flex, more so than a straight epoxy. I don't know about all that, but I do know that it's in a nice 2-component tube. Resin and hardener. Comes out the tip, goes through mixing tip. Comes out the end already mixed, so I don't have to stand there and mix, measure and mix resin and hardener, nor do I have to measure and mix just the right amount of thickening agent to get the consistency we want. Comes out about like just a little gooier than peanut butter. Maybe like the peanut butter that used to be in your uncle's camper that sat over the winter and then through the summer. And when you opened up, it was separated into peanut stuff and oil stuff. Kind of that consistency. Just a little bit gooier. So we're going to wrap up this video. We're going to go find one more clamp to get some epoxy coming out of that one joint, and then go see what we're cooking Skipper for dinner. That about does it.